Welcome to the Experience Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Christina Zhu. Christina is a second-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2026, and she and I recently connected to talk more about her background, her decision to pursue an MBA, what led her to Darden, her experience here at the Darden School of Business, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the Experience Darden podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Christina Zhu. Christina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Brett. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to chat with you. How's everything going? How are you doing?
Well, today it's kind of very special. This week is like the last week of the school, and 2 more weeks we are graduating. So I have a really mixed feeling about it. It just felt like yesterday was my first time visiting Charlottesville, doing the first in-person interview, and now I'm looking at to cross the finish line very soon. So I'm very excited for the next chapter, and also very thankful for everything that happened in the past 2 years.
Yeah, it's hard to describe it to prospective students, but the 2 years of business school really seems to fly by. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because there's a lot of, like, first year, there's a lot of academic workloads and courses, and you're doing recruitings, and time just fly by. Every single day, you're fully packed with learning teams, case method studies in the classrooms, recruiting events. So first years really fly by. And then when you reach the second year, you start to spend more times with your classmates, the DWC, which is like the Darden Worldwide courses. I also did an exchange in Q3. So all those things adds up. It's like snap on the fingers, and 2 years just went by quickly.
All right, some things we're going to come back to there. We'll talk about your Darden Worldwide course and exchange program in Q3. But before we get there, tell us a little bit more about who you are and your background.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Hanting Zhu, but I go by Christina. I was born and raised in China. When I was 15, my family moved to Vancouver, Canada, and I joined University of Toronto's in Toronto, Canada. After I graduate, I joined Procter& Gamble's, and I worked there for 4 years as their category development account executives. So I provided category growth recommendations to most of the Canadian retailers in oral care and fem care. So if you have any questions about toothpaste or toothbrush, you know where to find me. Outside of the work, I am obsessed with like golfing, skiing, and snowboarding. I'm actually a skiing and snowboarding certified instructor. And it was during my time teaching skiing when I found out a lot of people actually lost their ski and snowboard. The resort cannot do anything about it. The people are upset. And this unsolved pain point triggers me to launch my own startup, which is an AirTag that you can put on skis and snowboard. So I built everything from scratch, and that was really a fun time till I came to Darden.
This is a problem? People lose their skis and snowboard?
Yes, unbelievable. People think Canadians are really nice, and there are people actually do this as a group of crime, and they literally just steal skis and snowboard because it's very expensive. And after I talked to other many resorts in the States, and apparently that's an issue too. So it's the product that I'm producing really provide kind of a peace of mind for those enthusiasts in ski and snowboard, and let them enjoy their day as they should.
Wow, so not so much losing as having it stolen from them. That's not, man, I'm so sorry to hear this.
Yeah, well, I'm happy that I am providing this like product so that people can actually be happier when they're on the slope. And I know a lot of people like me who would travel around the world just to hit those like ski slopes. And I'm always tracking to see where my skis are at because the airplanes always like just lost your package. So that's also adding another peace of mind as well.
Yeah, similar thing if you travel with golf clubs or anything like that, you just want to make sure that they get where they're supposed to be. Air tags is kind of incredible how you can
Exactly.
know where something is. just by looking at your phone. Christina, how long had you thought about an MBA?
Wow, I actually know that I want to do an MBA when I was just a freshman in undergrad. There are two reasons. First, I really believe in that diversity really kind of promotes the growth, not just for one personal growth, but like the corporate growth as well. And it really triggers someone's like critical thinkings and like broadens one's knowledge base. So I know MBA is like the perfect options from that perspective. And I know I'm thinking about the right path because when I went on a broad exchange when I was in undergrad, or I went on like international volunteer projects in Italy, like those once in a lifetime international exposure really helps me to understand and know the peoples and local communities and culture better. So I think sometime in the future, I definitely want to pursue an MBA. And the second reason I think is because MBA is really great platforms for me to fine tune the business skills that I currently already have and to help me to fill the gap between what I have right now and the business skills I need in the future. So, well, the 4 years I have at PNG, it really taught me kind of like the foundations of how a big global CPG company works in the retail industry, but I also found myself lacking in the certain business skills like financial analysis, which I absolutely don't like, and people management or negotiations when I was doing my startup. So that make me to think now is like a perfect time for me to fill up those gaps before I move to the next stage of my career.
I appreciate that. It certainly resonates with other conversations we've had here on the podcast. What got you interested in Darden specifically?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually went on trips in to visit in person to many MBA schools in the US and also went to Europe to see their business school as well. And when I compared all those schools, I think Darden talks to me the most for a couple of reasons. First, and I would say there are a couple of reasons that brought me to Darden. And now looking back, I think what I thought back then was actually true and spot on. So I would say first one is like the international perspective. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the podcast, I was joining both DWC and Exchange. So Darden makes sure that each student can get the international exposure, and Darden provide like foundings to students to attend those like DWC, like Darden Worldwide courses where like professor leads a group of students to a foreign countries for a week and they visit like companies and local communities. So Darden would actually found like everything, and the only thing I need to pay is the flight tickets. So I was lucky enough to join the Morocco DWC last year, and it was a blast. I can still smell tagine right now on my nose. It was a really delicious plate if you haven't tried it. And last quarter, I went to Hitotsubashi University in Tokyo, Japan for the whole quarter, and that was just absolutely amazing. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is like the close-knit community. So Darden is actually the first MBA programs that gave me an interview invite, called me to give me an offer. And when I visited Charlottesville for the first time, talking to Marav, who's the person from admission committee, she's just like really nice and really in love with this little towns and the people that I've talked to at Darden. And after coming to Darden, I was consistently very surprised how the alumni are so supportive and responsive. Even I just reach out, like sending a cold email, they were eager to help and they went out of their ways to help me. And I think that further proves the community was really close knit, and I love that. And the last but not least, I think it's the case method. I think Darden was one of the only few schools that is 100% on case method. Because I majored in business in undergrad. When I was a senior in undergrad, a lot of my classes are also taught in case methods. And I know I personally love the case methods. And I think I can share a little bit more about that later. But I think case method not only talks about the technical skills, but it also puts yourself into the main protagonist position. And that helps me to use and leverage the skills that I learned in real life.
I love so much about what you shared there. I think there's something very powerful as a prospective student. The school that first offered you an opportunity to interview, school that first offered you an offer to attend an MBA program. That's something you would always remember, and so it's interesting to hear how that resonated with you as well as other aspects of the Darden experience. You mentioned the global aspect, the case method learning experience here. So it sounded like you thought a lot about Darden before you came to the school. What was the adjustment like being a brand new first year student, graduate business environment, moving to Charlottesville? What was that like?
Oh man, that was definitely very different. I think it's very challenging in both mental and physical way. Mentally, I have to keep reminding myself that I need to keep humble, and people that are around me are coming from very diverse professionals and ethnic backgrounds. Like I think myself, I know a lot about retail and CPG, but there are also people from other industry who are expert in their industry as well. So how to be open-minded and be really humble to the people around me. That's kind of like a mental adjustment. And physically, I haven't had an 8 a.m. classes for a very long time. And it definitely needs some self courage, especially during the cold winter time where I have to get up when the sky is still dark and I have to walk to the classroom. So that's definitely an adjustment for me. But after the first 3 quarters, you get the chances to pick your electives, and then you can change your timetables, and that things just get a little bit better. But for the first couple months, it's definitely takes some time and courage to adjust.
Yeah, you're right. You will have class typically from about 8 a.m. to 1 or so on Monday through Thursday, although Thursday at Darden is known as Darden Friday because you typically will not have class as a first year student at Darden. You should be doing career things, other kinds of activities there on that Friday, popular career day for folks. But yes, it is an adjustment. You're coming from the working world. Maybe your day started a little bit later. Maybe you got into the office 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. All of a sudden, having class and to be ready to be called on at 8 a.m. is a bit of an adjustment. But it sounds like a good adjustment, though.
Yeah, it is. I will say, now reflecting back, I think it's a really good mechanism that Darden has. It's because it really taught me, kind of forced me to train how to schedule my time better. And I think it's a really critical skill set, especially I'm going to consulting, where I might manage multi-tasks and peoples, and there's just a tons of things going on. And how to prioritize those tasks and how to better manage your time is getting more and more important. So although, well, 2 years ago when I first get into my 8 a.m. clubs, I was so sleepy and tiring. But after a few weeks and a quarter, I get used to it and I feel I have a better control of my time, and that feels really good.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that schedules don't get easier after business school, right? Your life's going to get pretty demanding. You're going to have a lot on your plate, and so the stamina, the mental aspects that you mentioned earlier, and just figuring out how to best prioritize your time and to use your time is important. Um, how did your career goals evolve during your time here at Darden, Christina?
Yeah, so I put myself into a very open-minded state before I step into the Darden steps. I want to explore different career paths that includes like consulting, investment banking, tech, MGM, which is like marketing and general management, etc. And after I talked to alumni and our second years, I found myself getting more excited when talking to like consultants and practicing case interview. Um, and I soon determined that I'm going to fully recruit in consulting. So I'm lucky to land on a summer internship offer last year at McKinsey, and I also joined as a full-time after graduation.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, rightfully so. Where will you be based?
I will be based in Los Angeles.
Okay. All right. West Coast, kind of back towards home.
Yeah.
Vancouver, not too far away.
I always tell people it's kind of like circle. I came from Vancouver, Toronto, Charlottesville, Los Angeles, and it's almost a circle now. We will see.
Well, Christina, I'm curious. One of the stories here at Darden, and as people move into their second year, is how they get more involved outside the classroom. Obviously, first years are involved with clubs, organizations, but you oftentimes will hear second year students taking on leadership roles and things like that. What did you do outside the classroom in addition to your time here at Darden?
Yeah, so because I'm an international student, I always want to help the international students community. So the first year I was the VP of Internationals at Student Admission Committee, where we're serving as a bridge between international candidates like prospective students and Darden. And the second years, I was elected to be the co-VP of events at Darden Consulting Club and a VP of careers at ABCD, which stands for Asian Business Club at Darden. So at the consulting club, my partner, which is another co-VP, and I organized the annual consulting conference with almost 200 attendees. So this conference is one of the largest student-run event at Darden, where it provided an unique opportunity for students to have a closer understanding of the consulting industry. And at ABCD, my partner and I, we initiated kind of like a mentorship programs where we pair the first year Asian students with the second year, so they have someone to talk to when either they feel stressed or have any questions about their lives at Darden's for recruiting. By doing that, I really want to promote kind of inclusive community feelings for those international students who are new to the countries and the culture and environment to make them feel like home. So outside of this class where I have leadership position, I'm also active members at Darden golf clubs and outdoor clubs. In fact, tomorrow I will be competing in the first year versus second year Ryder Cup at Birdwood. So we won the Ryder Cup last year. So the pressure is on us again to see if we can secure the win this year.
Is that a team-based competition? Like where you do have a partner, or is it one-on-one? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a teams, definitely a team sports. We two first year. So one group is like 4 people for a round of golf, right? So it's 2 first year versus 2 second year. And this golf, it's a very man-driven sport. So we only have 2 girls versus another 2 girls. But it will be really exciting because it will be basketball. Last year we have half basketball and scramble, and this year we're only playing basketball. So very nervous and excited.
Will you have the same partner you had last year?
Yes, we have
Oh,
the
nice.
same partner. So we're practicing. We hit some swings tomorrow before the game starts, and finger crossed we're gonna get the Ryder Cup again.
I love that. All right. Well, look forward to hearing about that, Christina. So, how did you make the decision to go abroad? I'm curious about your time in Q3 here. It sounds like you were in Japan.
Yes, I can talk about it for a whole day. It was absolutely an amazing experience. Um, as I mentioned before, I always want to get those international exposure. So when it was, I think Q3 or Q4 during my first year, we can put ourselves into the lottery systems for the exchange program. So Darden has this collaboration relationship with many international MBA schools, and Hitotsubashi is one of the partner schools that Darden has. And the schools will draw people from the system. And I'm just lucky enough to be one of the 2 students that got selected. And the whole exchange, you were sitting in the same classroom with local MBA students, and you can pick the classes that you have the most interest on. And in spare time, it's Japan. So I got to do my snowboardings in Nisakos and all those amazing places. And you get really, because it's the whole quarter, so you really have a lot of times to talk to the local students, the local professional faculties, and you just know much more and in details about the local business and their community.
How did that experience at the Japanese business school compare to Darden?
I I'm not sure if this podcast will be heard by the Japanese university, but I biasly speaking, I think Darden faculty and the classroom quality is 100% way better. I'm sorry. I love Japan. I love Hitotsubashi, but I'm speaking as a Darden student. It's because all of our courses are case method and it's case based. And the professors are really engaging and try to make the whole conversation in the classroom inspiring and really makes me to think critically about the business problem. Versus in Japan, I think it's because of their cultural and educational system. The professors, it's mainly like lecture. Some of the cases, sometimes they will have cases, but it's most of the time it's an lecture. And they have one class is like 2 hours straight, and they might have like a 5 minutes break in between. But I can tell the students are not that engaging, and I feel the classroom vibe is. I feel more engaged in the Darden community.
Well, also curious about your experience working with international prospective students. And I wonder if there's a few pieces of advice you would oftentimes share with folks as they were asking about coming to the United States for business school or coming specifically to Darden.
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to try new ideas. Just make your step and everything's gonna be fine. I know people say that, but you never know until you actually take the step forward and try it. So for those international prospective students, I would say just be curious, connect with new people, embrace the challenge, and trust me, the Darden communities are very eager and here to help you throughout the whole process. And for me, I really think the world is like big and full of opportunities and chances. So trust the process and everything's gonna play out. You're gonna have so much fun at Darden.
Well, Christina, I'm curious. Here you are. You mentioned you have your Ryder Cup coming up tomorrow, but just a few more weeks until graduation. Anything that's on your like last bucket list of things you want to do while you're in Charlottesville?
Yeah, the second year we actually will have a beach week at South Carolina before graduation. So I'll go in there with the rest of my classmates, and that will be a tons of fun. Before that, I would definitely hit some restaurants that my classmates recommended to me that I haven't tried in the past 2 years. And I would definitely have the Bodos bagels every single day before I leave Charlottesville. And yeah, I will miss this little town very much. It's like a dream for the past 2 years.
What's your Bodo's order?
Oh, don't quote me on this. I like the raisin cinnamon bagel with the walnut cinnamon cream cheese. But I love cinnamon and I love raisin. So it's a really sweet bagel. Don't quote me on this. It's my personal taste.
Yeah, no problem. I think cinnamon raisin bagel with peanut butter is actually very good. I don't know if you ever tried that. The cinnamon peanut butter combination, I recommend it highly.
Yeah, I never tried that. That's an interesting combination. I might try it tomorrow. You know what? Time it's flying so quick. I have to get it before I leave.
Well, you fortunately have multiple Bodos area locations to try.
Yeah.
I will say for folks who are new to the podcast, Bodos is a much beloved bagel store here in Charlottesville. It is one of the things, if you ask someone, come to Charlottesville, what are some things that you should do? Chances are Bodo's Bagels, have a bagel there is on the list. Or you have, I mean, obviously somebody who seems to have really enjoyed her time in Charlottesville. Anything that you would put on that list of things you have to try, things you have to do while you're here?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I know some of my classmates, they're double who's or they're like Charlottesville natives. So they're probably the better people to ask about this than me. But from my personal experience, Bodos Bagels definitely, there's like a Bell brunch places, really nice. They have good sandwiches. Me and my friends are actually going to Tavola tonight. It's like an Italian restaurant. The pasta was like top notch. And that's like there's tons of like great Thai places in Charlottesville as well. That's something I was impressed. It's like Charlottesville is such a small town, but everything. Like you can find literally everything in 15 minutes drive. So that's about food. And then the second is if you like golfing, which is same as me, you will be very impressed that the Birdwood, which is a golf course name, they have the driving range, which is like 5 minutes away from Darden. So a lot of our second years actually got a memberships during their second year, so they can play golf not every single day, but a couple rounds per week, and that's just like a dream. And oh, one last thing I would mention is for those enthusiasts on hiking, there's a national park called Shenandoah around the area, and that was we've done like camping trips and hiking trips in the park, and it was definitely a blast.
I love that Birdwood is the home course for the University of Virginia men's and women's golf teams. It's a very nice course. So
Yes.
it's also very, very challenging too. But yeah, lots of great outdoor activities as well. And lots of places to eat. I was thinking about your story, Christina, as you were sharing it. So you lived in some really large cities, Vancouver, Toronto. There's a Charlottesville, small college town. Was that something that was on your mind as you were thinking about, coming to business school? The idea of coming from like a really big place, Toronto's like one of the large cities of the world, to a smaller college town. Is that something you thought about?
Yes. So it was funny. When I first visited Charlottesville, I was walking, wandering in the downtown, the main street, and it was so quiet in the middle of the day. And I was calling my dad. I was saying, "Wow, this town's like really small, and it's so quiet. I don't know if I will fit in here as I have a good time here." And I think what my dad told me that time was like, "I think you're gonna have a good time. You can focus on your studies, and it just make yourself more um, focused on whatever things you do." And I find out that's actually true after 2 years here. Although it's like a really small town comparing to like big cities, but the good side about it is you can actually see your friends when you go to Trader Joe's, or you're just like walking on the streets and, hey, there's another Darden person. And I think that also reflects back to the close-knit community as well. It's also because it's such a small town. We see each other every single day, and that builds up a much solid relationship foundations for all of our classmates. I think that's also one of the reasons why the alumni are so went off their ways to help us, because we are such a big family at Darden.
Well, Christina, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I really appreciate your time
Yeah, of
today.
course.
Last question: any other advice you would share with folks listening to this podcast, kind of thinking about their own MBA journeys?
Ooh, I would say I would share similar things to our prospective student as well. Um, it's definitely not an easy decision to make when you either quit your job and move to a new countries, move to a new cities, go through all those transitions. But if you are brave enough to take one step forward, you will find out there's so many people that are in the same situation as you do, who are eager to embrace new challenges. And I think once you find out those communities and the people around you, you can be pushed to like get your full potentials, and you're gonna grow so fast than you would think at the beginning. So if we're thinking about getting an MBA, talk to people, connect with folks who are currently doing MBA, who might come from the same background as you, and you will find everyone has their very different stories, and they are going through all different challenges, but we all end up in pretty much the same place and learning so much from each other. So don't be afraid. Be curious. Love the people around you. Reach out and just have fun.
I think that's a great place to stop. Christina, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck in the Ryder Cup tomorrow.
Yeah, I will. I'm finger crossed. I'm going to hit a range, and I'm not gonna lose hope on our tiny small teams, but I will let you know after tomorrow's game.
And that was my conversation with Christina Zhu, a second-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2026. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, and you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at Darden, that's Darden, @virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.